Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome back to Reality Realness with three S's. I'm your host, Chantele Francis, and Jonathan, my co-host, is here to defend his team. Thank you, Jonathan, for being here because you made it happen. What we all wanted to happen on this episode of The Amazing Race. How are you, Jonathan? And how does it feel to have so much power?
You know what? I'm going to take full credit because, like I said, the weeks that I was away, disasters. And then, and I said I'd protect, and then I came back and I protected. So, yeah, even though it was filmed previous to any of that, but like it knew. We're
The
all,
universe is connected.
yeah. So no, I'm thrilled. I was super worried watching this episode, and especially what type of episode it was because it was very like challenges were sure people could inch ahead, but by a couple minutes, like there was
Mm-hmm.
nothing like people were, kind of all bunched together. And I'm like, this is not good for a team that is injured.
Yeah.
So good episode. We like the outcome. Let's talk about it.
Yes, Lady Di here is here to talk about it as well. Thank you for joining us. Um, this whole season, I'd have to say, made me really enjoy The Amazing Race. We just had come off of watching The Amazing Race Canada, and as much as I love Amazing Race in general, I didn't love The Amazing Race Canada, unfortunately. But this season, I don't know if it's the cast, or if it's the task, or if it's the countries, or if it's all of it combined. I'm just enjoying this season, and it's kind of bringing my love for The Amazing Race back. And I'm like, I want to run The Amazing Race. Like, it makes me really want to run it. But when I think about running like the Canadian The Amazing Race, I know that they're taking applications right now. I'm kind of like, I would do it, but I'm not as excited as I would be if I was running the US one.
Yeah, and even missing the staple of airports. Being in airports, that all that drama which we love in Amazing Race, we don't get that. But even without that, this American version is still pretty good, you know?
Still pretty good. I mean, I think that would be really fun if when we can have that come back, because I did really like doing research and finding better flights. Like that would be how I'd pull out
Just
in front,
running
you
up to
know?
the ticket booths and trying to, get ahead of other people and undermining others and like trying to sneak off here and just that whole thing. Like I love it. I could watch it. I mean, we did watch it season after season.
Well,
And
even like the idea of like making sure that you get to sit at the front of the plane so you can get off first, all that type of stuff. I'm like, I would love to try to game the whole airport part of it all, which would be awesome.
yeah, you'd be good at it. You know what you're doing there. So
I think so. I mean, I hope so. I hope so. Yeah. So hopefully within the next couple seasons, it will go back to allowing us to like do the airport part of it and not having these like groups of people leaving at 15-minute intervals. I think that has to go. But other than that, I think that we got a pretty solid product. And I know it was really disappointing that we lost one team due to COVID. It's still a pretty great season so far, I'd say.
well, we're at that place where it wasn't COVID that's possibly taking down like our biggest hopes and dreams and ruining the seasons. It's a leg, it's a knee.
It's a leg for a leg.
Yeah.
Well, it started off as a thigh we're learning, and then it's now moved to the knee. So I'm wondering if like the a quad got it strained or something, which allowed it to be not supporting the knee. I don't know. How did
She
this
said
work?
knees in this episode. I was like, uh-oh, don't jump to conclusions. I'm like, it's gonna be she's gonna be on crutches or something for the last leg, or maybe, but I don't know. As long as they're there. So, having said that, the reality of like that team winning,
Low.
Lee Molly, yeah, but still, we just, our hopes was to see them in the final three.
Exactly. I wanted them to win the entire race. I wanted them to cross the finish line together, whether or not they won the money. For me, and I think even for them, they really wanted to experience the entire race together. And I wanted that for them. So I'm really happy that they are going to have the entire race to get to know each other. I don't think they're going to have the $1 million prize, though, on top of it. But that would be a really big shocker.
Yeah, I'm not feeling it either for them, unfortunately.
I
I think it's between the other two. So
Yeah, we'll get to speculating at the end because I have a few. I can make a case for either team to win, I would say, of the other two. Hi, Danielle. Hey, finally got you live. Yes. Happy Friday. It is. I can't believe it's December. Oh my god. It's Britney's birthday. Britney Spears' birthday today. Yes, I agree, Lady Di. It is an enjoyable season. So the episode's called How Am I Going to Survive This? Did somebody say this? I mean, I couldn't imagine someone said this episode, but was that a quote?
I didn't catch it, but I mean, several people could have said it, but I feel like that would have been on the sisters.
Sister, I was also thinking David.
Yeah, with the water, which
Hmm.
I mean, okay, we're not there yet. I won't say. I'll reserve kind of saying anything until we get there. But
No problem. I'm sure we're gonna have a lot to say about both those tasks that he had to do. So flying to Iceland, I believe that they visited Iceland a couple other times in the race, but it is gorgeous. Like it's a really, I mean, I don't know if it's somewhere that I would choose to go and visit necessarily, unless I was shooting something there or whatnot. But like, it is a really, really pretty landscape.
yeah, it's a little bleak for me. I mean, living in Canada, it's a friend just went to Antarctica on a trip, and I was just like, why? But like I just
Did they say why? Why?
no, I haven't asked like in person. I was just thinking about it, but I'm like, you just get so much snow and ice and cold already where you live. So for me personally, I'm not like, it was beautiful to see, but at the same time, right, same thing. I wouldn't be like, let's go to Iceland.
I remember when I was coming back from Europe that some of the planes had to do a stop in Iceland. I can't remember the scenario because it was about 4 years ago now. And they said that they had a really good time. They went to like some spas and stuff like that over in Iceland. So that would be kind of interesting, but it's kind of like they had a forced layover. It wasn't part of their itinerary. But the race, though, has an Expedia inspired expedition for this leg of the race. So I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot of advertisement, but I was like, whoa, Expedia, 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 Expedia. Okay, I get it. Expedia sponsored the heck out of this.
But like
But
I read through Expedia, then Subway,
that's what I was gonna say. I
then
don't mind it because it's related. Like if it was like exactly, if it was like this is your Wendy's, you know where I'm getting that reference from, but this is your Wendy's episode of like, have a frosty with like I would just be like, what? I it just doesn't I don't like that, but Expedia makes sense. If it was like a hotels.ca, that makes sense. Like if I just want something that is like trip related or adventure or destination related. So
mhm.
I like those kind of sponsors, and they're very smart by doing that, I
Well,
think.
like Travelocity. I don't know if Travelocity and Expedia are grouped together as one, or I don't know if they're the same company. I don't know what the deal is, but I love the Travelocity gnome and having to bring the gnome around and like making the gnome do part of the activities, putting
It
them in a
doesn't feel
satchel.
forced, you know what I mean? It feels like it belongs, oddly enough. Like it's a gnome, a garden gnome, but still it's, you know
I love that gnome. It's so cute. When they had to give the gnome the little wine bottle. It's like so cute. But yeah, I agree with you. Like this, even though it was very heavily Expedia, like they even gave like the whole like every single time they did Expedia, like, hey, book your hotel so easily with Expedia. And all the different times that there was the product placement in there. It didn't really bother me as much as it bothers me with Subway and
I was like, "I could do that. I could have done this voiceover."
what was the oh, yeah, I could have. What was the Marshalls? Like
Yeah.
I don't want to hear Marshall's gift card ever again.
Well, the American Amazing Race doesn't stop off in a Marshalls and goes you know what I mean? Like, that's so Canadian, has no money, needs all the sponsors to sponsor absolutely everything. Yeah, it's unfortunate, but it is what it is.
Like, wouldn't it be so nice if we got a little bit more of a budget so that we wouldn't have to
Well,
look so budget?
but the thing is like with the Canadian market, which a lot of Canadian scripted television is actually currently complaining about, is that reality eats into that budget currently. And while it's great, a lot of people with the scripted television are the producers and whatnot are in this very moment complaining about that because there's some stuff going on right now in regards to it. I won't get into any of it, but yeah, so it does take a piece of the like the same pie, and that's why nobody has any money. Where
Mm.
it's completely separate in the U.S. So it's yeah, I mean, just I wish we didn't have to look for like these sponsors in the Canadian version, but or if you did have it like the American version where it's sponsored by a something that you can
A
interchange.
huge conglomerate that would allow, like, just the one. Just
Yeah,
got the one guy.
yeah.
One guy given a couple million to sponsor the race, and how much do you think that they actually would give? Like, what do you think that their contract would be?
Like,
Ish.
how much did they give to you? I have no idea, but to be that prominent on that kind of a show in season, what are they, 34? It's yeah, it's hefty. It's hefty. It's probably I guarantee you it's the entire prize money that they win
For sure.
on top of everything, on top of other stuff as well.
They
So
probably pay for the entire season.
I mean, I'm sure they do the prize money as well as the
Because, like, I don't know,
accommodations.
2 million bucks. I don't think is that much money to a big company like Expedia. I don't think.
Yeah, no, it's not. Sure.
I would think it's not that much. Hi, Danielle. So Danielle says Iceland is beautiful. My brother went there, and the pics are amazing. I mean, I believe that it's gorgeous. I agree. I'm just like, I don't know if I would be choosing to go there on my next vacay unless.
It's just
Uh,
cold, and I like architecture, and I
mm.
haven't really seen any there, you know what I mean? Like, the grand, old, gothic, potentially.
Subway block. Like, one of the tasks on the Canadian version was to like order a sub. And I got like a heck from the winners of last season because he said that I every episode on the recap I said, "Oh, that's really easy. That's really easy."
Foot long or 6 inch? Um,
Like, oh, pickles, no pickles. I did find it a little bit less labor intensive than the one on the US season. Big
no.
Brother Canada winners was so funny though. Yeah, but like,
Like, the Winners Marshalls. It's down the street from me, like, literally, like, the next corner, basically. So it's just
which
kind
one at College Park?
of yeah, well, the College Park well, I guess you would consider that College Park, yeah. The one that they went to, because it was right above.
Oh, right, yeah, yeah, College and or like Young and
Right.
Gerard, Young and
Now
College.
IKEA, it's right above the now downtown IKEA, but, yeah, so it's like Gerrard and, Yonge Street. Um,
Um, well, because yeah, because the winners though part of it is on College though. Actually,
Winners is College, the Marshalls
it's
is just
Gerard.
upstairs, yeah. It's just a little bit
I
lower.
mean, I've never been into that Marshalls, like, and I've lived in Toronto for many years, like 30, more than 30 actually. Sponsors can't live with them, can't live without them. It's true. It's true. It's true. It's true.
The right
Well,
sponsors,
hmm?
though. I said it's about the right sponsors, making it, like,
Yeah.
seamless, and I mean, they did a good job. We're saying they did a good job with the American version, so
So there was a helicopter ride that they all got to take over Iceland. Have you been in a helicopter and would you ever go and Jonathan?
like, if I needed to, be rescued, I would go in one,
Like
but not
only medically evacuated would
sure.
you
I
take a
mean, yeah, of
helicopter?
course, I would, absolutely. But, without any need to, I have no desire to be up in the air. It's just not within my soul for some reason.
Wow, and you're an air sign. It's so shocking. Well, I mean, helicopter rides are slightly scary. Not gonna lie, because what ends up happening, well, at least the one that I was in, it like sometimes you lose the feeling, like it's just like you drop in like the gravity and just like you fall a little bit. And when I was in this helicopter, I was like, okay, I can see this could be the way that I go. I was like, okay, maybe it's gonna
Making such
happen.
a good point for me to want to, hop on a helicopter ride. I'm
Well, I
glad
didn't though. I was fine.
I'm glad David enjoyed it though, but he's a mechanic.
That was really cool though. I mean, as somebody that, works in aviation, like I would probably if I were a mechanic for Boeing 737s and then I got to like be in one and like, be in I don't know, the FO seat or something like that would be really cool. So, I thought that was awesome for him, especially this leg of the race was what happens that he got to have that experience.
I also love seeing it. Like, I love watching people in helicopters, like on the mole as well. This past season they had it. I love it. I mean, I'm jealous of everyone who enjoys plane rides or helicopters. I'm like, I wish I was that person, like, who could
Like
just
I'm literally on a plane 3 times a week.
yeah, I would have post-traumatic stress syndrome from that from that. My last I had nightmares from my last flight for like a week before and after.
Okay,
But
but well, I definitely am going to hypnotize you and see if we can
do it.
alleviate this fear of yours because I would love for you to be able to be my partner on the Amazing Race. And you'll
Yeah,
have to
I
get
mean,
on planes.
it's not that much. It's not a it's Claire with heights kind of a thing where I'm like crying afterwards, but it's significant enough that I don't have a desire to like want to do it.
Are you
And it's
like Darrell? No, Darrell's a
Rel
lot
in
worse.
like in
The challenge.
heights and water and everything else. No, I'm probably a little bit better than that, but it's yeah, it's we can do a reality realness hypnotizing whatever.
I'm it's like we should do it. I'm not even joking. You have a little bit of time right now, so yeah, maybe we'll see what we can do, and we can fix Jonathan so that he'll want to go and do all these.
Yeah, you'll see me hanging off the CN Tower.
Exactly, edge walk. All of a sudden, he's like on a hell. He bought a helicopter. He's like he's skydiving, bungee jumping. All of a sudden, he's like into extreme sports
Yeah,
out of an airplane. That would be amazing. So Danielle says, "Say what Scott." Oh, wait, hold on.
skydiving.
I would totally go in a helicopter, but would probably be terrified. I think it would be an experience. Honestly, though, it's really beautiful and it's really cool to be that close to mountains, like or where like the scenery. Where I was, I did it in the BC, and so like I've seen all these mountains for years, and being that close to like Bear Mountain and blah blah Mountain, like all the mountains that their names. It was really gorgeous and really cool to be that close. So as a person that likes experiences, I really enjoyed it. But I could see why it would be scary to some. But it's cool. Same with skydiving. I would do that too. But I would be that person that would probably pass out on the way down. I mean, I think that skydiving would be easier than bungee jumping, personally. What do you think, Jonathan?
Well, if it's like a tandem skydive,
I tandem. I don't think
um,
I'd do it by myself. That would be too
I
much
think you'd have
pressure.
to like, yeah, you'd have to work your way up to it. But yeah, if it was tandem, then you can pass out and wake up on the ground and you'd be like, great.
I
Um,
did it.
kind of. Yeah, but it would be easier.
Lady Di is with you, Jonathan. I like my feet on the ground, but love the
Or,
aerial camera shots.
you can appreciate it for sure, for sure. It's just through other people's eyes.
Victoria, hi Victoria says a helicopter task would be fine in a mole game. Yes, maybe maybe you'd be scared of helicopters if you were the mole, right? So you wouldn't go into the helicopter. Are you like setting us up for any time that you ever play the mole in real life
It's
that
like
like
it's the challenge, and you'd be like, no, it's me. Meanwhile, I'm like not actually afraid of heights at all. So
exactly. So we have these groups still. So group one is leaving at 1 p.m. And that's with Luis and Michelle, and then David and Aubrey. And so they're going to be doing an ice climb to retrieve the flag. How would you be with this? Would you be able to climb this? Have you ever done any rock climbing or anything?
yeah, yeah. I have zero upper body strength, but I would enjoy it. I would really enjoy the challenge of that. So, and when I go rock climbing, like indoor rock climbing, I never actually worry about the heights until I'm up there, and then I'm like, what have I done? But if there's any sort of like, what do you call that? Where it's not straight up and down, but there's sort of like a,
Rock
it's,
face?
it's like a, yeah, like you have to like hang upside down. I'm off. Like I have no upper body strength, but it's fun, and I thought this was great. I was really worried for the sisters once. I mean, not once again. I'm starting off worried with the sisters. Really walked there, and then I was like, oh gosh. And they're like, use your feet. You got to really trust your. I was like, oh, legs.
You're like, no, like, don't, like, it's not going to take them out now. Like, they're so
Both have to
close.
do it. They both have to do it. Oh no.
But so Aubrey went first though because she's really afraid of heights. And then David hopefully could just like catch up for that to them. Um Luis didn't have any trouble at all. He just like zipped up and down. Michelle a little bit slower, but she didn't seem scared or have any trouble with it at all. Group two, leaving 15 minutes later, obviously is going to be Claire and David and the David, Derek, and the twins. Um, yeah. So I'm worried for Derek because like you said a couple episodes ago, he doesn't take things seriously. And so sometimes I'm like, I just want him to like focus a little bit more and do things well and right the first time. But like, so I don't know if he went first or second, but just how he was doing it was just so awkward. I'm like, oh my God, are they gonna like be out this episode? I was really worried for them.
Yeah, Claire, I mean, they did a really good job, overall as far as kind of getting to their destinations. We saw them get ahead, and Claire, I feel like really kept Derek in line. I thought you saw a lot of Claire's strengths in this episode, which was great. But same thing, yeah. Like instead of him talking out loud so much and working himself up and getting frantic over certain situations, it's like, but Claire did that, and she like, she knows like that. She knows he's like that, I guess. So it was nice to kind of see that part of their relationship together.
So Danielle says, I've been to Wonderland and I went on Dropstone. I was excited till I got to the top and started freaking out. Oh my God. So Dropstone. So I have like a younger cousin. And at the time, I think she was like 8, but she was wanting to be like a little bit like, I'm a big girl. I'm a big girl. I can go on all the rides that you guys go on. And I'm like, well, this one's really scary. Like, I don't know. And she's like, I can do it. Like, I can go on. I'm like, are you sure? Like, it's drop zone. It's really high. Like, I'm just trying to show her that like she might be scared. And like, she's like, "Oh, no, I want to do it. I want to do it." So we go into drop zone. We go down. And have you been on drop zone before? I feel like this is like I don't believe that your entire life have been scared of heights. I feel
Yes,
like it's
not to interrupt
new.
your story, but I will tell you something that my dad said to me. He's like, before you were 6, you used to go on every roller coaster, even when you weren't tall enough. We would sneak you in. You'd go on every. You were like so gung ho, and then he's like, I don't know what happened to you, but you just were terrified of anything that had to do with heights. And I was like, yeah, yeah, it's true. There was like a switch in my childhood at some point. Not that anything happened, but I was like, forget it. I mean, they did used to tell me that I was going on a rocket ship instead of a airplane because I would not go on an airplane.
Hmm.
Let's do some past life
Yeah,
regression.
I was wondering if this is a past life thing. If
Yeah,
I'm not even joking about it.
yeah.
And so we go on to drop zone, and basically what drop zone is, it's like there's like I don't know, maybe four across, and it's kind of like a I don't know big cylinder type thing that goes up, and everybody's sitting down on it, and it goes up pretty high. You can see the entire park, and then it just like drops you down. It's scary. It is scary, and then it kind of you bounce back up, and then you go back down again. It's not the if you're scared of heights and having that butterfly feeling in your stomach, it's not the ride for you for sure.
Like
And so
in Florida, they have one of those ish too. Like many years ago, it's like a hotel one where you're like in an elevator and it drops you. I forget what it's called, but
I've never been to that.
I mean, it's not anywhere near as I would never. Drop Zone is so. Who went on it? One of our watch viewers. So Drop Zone.
I mean, I'd go on it still. But so when we get off though, my cousin didn't talk to me for the rest of the day. She's just like she was
Right.
so shook. Like she just like not a peep. She wouldn't look at me. She wouldn't talk to me. Like,
You need like a debrief after that, like a
like
real
she was
powerful moment.
I
Yeah.
hope she's okay. Like that, like she was shook. And yeah, so I can understand people being shook from that ride. It's pretty scary. When you get to the top, you're like, oh God, there's nowhere down to go.
Also, Wonderland. Remember the bat?
The bat's easy, but yeah.
I literally, they told me it was a haunted house. I was like, yeah, let's go. Then I saw it was a roller coaster. When I got there, I walked right through everyone, back out that line, and I was like, I'm not doing it.
You didn't even cross through. You weren't any one of those people that waited in line with your friends and then cross through. No.
Nope,
You're gonna go back to that hour and a half long lineup.
all the way.
Danielle loves Derek and Claire. I mean, no, I love Derek and Claire, but like I get worried for them because like Derek isn't always serious, and like I just don't want him to screw up, and his seriousness costs them the race. That's just it. Hi, Kathy. Thank you for being here. Okay, so what did you think about I mean, I love them, but these Jeeps that they had to drive. So there's kind of old school Land Rover, probably Defenders. They had like a four-wheel drive, which I don't know how to use, but I would learn if I was going on the Amazing Race. But it's six shift and four-wheel drive. Do you know anything about four-wheel drive?
No,
Me
and
neither.
I loved it. I was hoping there was more problems, because me, I love a good, something's going wrong with something. So I was like, "Ooh, people are struggling." I'm like, "This is nice," but they all kind of like struggled the same. So I don't know that it really affected anyone that much. But yeah, it was
I know.
nice.
I love everybody being like, "Ah, it's moving. I'm not changing. I don't care if I'm grinding the gears. I don't care if I'm in
There in the
third or
back, he's
second.
on the downshift. He's like, we're doing this."
We're sticking to third. Third is good for me right now." Which I thought was really funny because Emily also had a same deal, being like, this gear is working for me, so we're gonna stay here for sure. So poor Emily falling behind already because of her leg, but I thought it was so cute, Molly with the distraction technique, when she's just like bringing her the dandelion wish and like just kind of doing things to distract her. I thought it was really cute.
Yeah, she's like, "Are you serious?" Um, yeah, it's where you see the. It's so funny because we don't spend, it's an hour every week, but we don't spend a lot of time with them. But I'm starting to finally like be able to tell them apart and
Oh
notice like
yeah.
what their individual um things are, and like who's more serious, who's a little bit more playful. So it's really interesting to still, for me, still discovering some of that. And I think in this episode we're able to kind of see that even more. So it's like second last episode kind of a thing, and we're not, or second last leg, whatever, but we're not fully done discovering their relationship and everything. So it's like they
It's
have to
so
make
cute.
they have to make
I know, I know. That's why I was starting to get worried. I'm like, my goodness, like, is this leg going to be really what takes him out of the race? I was just so worried. But I thought the distraction technique was super cute that Molly was doing, and it was such like a movie moment. You know what I mean? Like you'd write something like that in a movie or see it in a movie where like, in more of like a romantic movie, I could see like somebody like kind of bringing a flower to make them smell it or something like that to like distract them. But in this context, like it was just so cinematic. Their whole story is just so, it's so full. It's such a full story. I love it. So yeah, I wrote down everybody finding a gear and just sticking to it. I thought that's also hilarious. So who's feeling misty-eyed, Jonathan? Me or you? But
it.
Derek
Ooh,
had to do this one.
yeah, I would have loved to have done it. So it's yeah.
So this wouldn't have scared you.
No, I'm all about, water and all that stuff, so jumping and
Well, so what about, so you don't mind jumping? Okay, that's good.
yeah, I mean, like, I went whitewater rafting and I was like, "We're gonna do the adventure, like the 6 person, not the 12 person, we're doing the 6 person, which is harder, in the Ottawa River." And at one point you get off and you have to, like, jump off the edge into the water. I mean, fully I fully thought I was dying, like, this was plummeting to my death, but I was, like, committed to it, and I had to just run up there and do it first, or else I would've, you know I like what David was doing with, like, hesitating. I'm like, "That is the worst you can
No,
do
you
on
gotta
a
just
bridge."
go.
Yeah, you just have to go for it, so
Well, so I might have told the story to you before, but when I was on my 21st birthday, we went to the Dominican Republic and we went on this excursion where we took these Jeeps, kind of like their Jeeps, out to somewhere that had like a lot of waterfalls and stuff like that. And so we go and we'd climb all these waterfalls, like just climbing up with the locals taking us on this tour of these like waterfalls and like man-made or like natural made caves and stuff like that. So we go up for like, we're like climbing for like an hour and we get to the top and it's like a man or a nature made like hot spring. And it was like, we're in like a cave and it's just like this hot water. And it was like, it was really cool. And then the only way down was all these rock slides. So like where we were climbing up, like that's where we're sliding down. I'm like, this doesn't look smooth. But we're just like, all right, well, we got to do it. So we did, like they did it on this episode where they were sliding down some of these rocks, and they actually end up being smooth because of all the water that kind of beats on it. And so when we get down to this kind of place where it levels out, we're like 50 feet above like the next level of water where we can actually get off and start going back to our Jeeps. And the locals thought it was hilarious that some people were scared. So they were just pushing people off of this 50-foot ledge. And people were just like, ah! Ah! Like just all being pushed off. And I was like, don't you dare push me off. And like I just jumped off. But it was very similar to what they experienced here. So I don't think that I would have a problem with it. But I would let you do it because that would be something that you would want to experience.
any water stuff, I'm good at. I can outswim people. I'm like a little fish in water, so
Oh, good to know. So we just had to clear you from your heights thing so we can do the amazing race. Yay. Okay. What else happened? So yeah, Derek must do this task. Molly is doing the roadblock. So I thought that Molly still had done a lot more than Emily had.
No,
Wasn't it?
it was evened out last leg.
Oh, okay. Because I was
Five,
like,
five, five, I think.
okay, because I was like, I thought that it was still uneven. So I'm really happy with their strategy of how they did this because I was like, if Emily's thigh was and knee were hurting, and like climbing these type of things might not have been great. Jumping into water may not have been great depending on how you land. And so I'm really happy that Molly was doing this roadblock while Emily was crying. Oh my god, it got me misty eyed. Did it get you misty eyed? The tears?
Um, no, because it's not. It's something that has already sat with me for a while. But if you think about it, you know, after the fact with what happened, really, the other could have done it because of like the hold up later on. It wouldn't have mattered, and then they would have been 6-5 in the other direction.
Which
So
would have been
next,
better for them.
yeah. But I mean, when you're last, you're just trying to, and it could be either or, and you're evened up. You're.
And it seemed like her leg it was flaring up at that moment, so she was probably in pain at that moment and just was not sure if she could
Yeah.
be able to do
I'm
it.
like, literally drug yourself or go get a steroid shot for the last leg. Like,
From some of their interviews, they were being checked out regularly by doctors and stuff like that. And I believe Molly is a pharmacist, so she knows about drugs and stuff like that.
but,
So
but like, why can she not get crutches? Like, wouldn't that help her a
they
lot?
talked about
Or
crutches, but then I think carrying the crutches might have sucked. I can't remember what they said about the crutches. Chat, do you guys remember what Molly said? I think she was on, I don't remember whose
like
pod it
in
was.
this leg, they were in like a big vehicle. Like they would have. Like I was like, why can't you have crutches this leg?
Yeah, maybe if you have crutches, then you can't be on the race anymore. Like I don't know. There maybe there's like a weird rule.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know. They did talk about it, but I don't remember what their exact
or it's like
response was
some
to
sort
it.
of enhancement or something. I mean, who wouldn't sign off on? I'd be like, sure, let her have crutches.
Sure. She's like the star of the show. She needs to give her crutches. And then I'm right. Oh boy, David doesn't swim. This is not the show to go on. This and the challenge and Survivor are shows that you don't go on if you can't swim.
I don't get it. I was like, wait, David doesn't swim.
Like I don't
Um,
love the water, but I took swimming lessons growing up, and like my sisters are quite adept swimmers.
I because I was blessed with the ability to have a swimming pool growing up, and my grandparents' house, but also many parties, and I took swimming lessons for fun, just to like tag team with a family member, just because I knew how to swim, and they were like, "Come with me." I just really liked swimming, and so it's so hard for me to understand how people don't know how to swim. Like I even at 39 years old, I'm like, how do people don't know how to swim? It's just, and I guess if you've never grown up with it or never experienced it, sure, but like I don't know, it's just innate within me, and I just don't understand how you can. It's like riding a bike. Like if you try a little bit, shouldn't you know how to ride a bike? Like it's the same thing for me. If you try a little bit, shouldn't you know how to swim?
I would think so. Like as I was saying, like I don't love swimming because like I once my dad lived in California and I think I was like 8 or so, and I was taken out by the tide, and like I did hear like God talk to me being like relax and like to stop moving, and so like I was tumbling out, and then I just like relaxed and allowed my body to come to the shore or the air, and I was so far back, like oh my god, it took me back so far, and like I was so scared, and like I probably was close to dying because if I didn't hear that like just stay still like screaming in my inner ear, like I probably would have
A
drowned.
lot of people
So
swim to the shore, and you have to swim parallel, like, kind of,
Yeah, yeah. Well, anyways, he was just saying like whatever the voice was saying, just relax and allow yourself to go limp. And then I just was able to kind of get like don't fight the current, basically, is what it was telling me to do. And so I was so far, but it was like so scary. And so I don't love water because of that experience, but I can swim for sure. Like I can tread water. I can, I just don't love water though because of that. But I can't imagine being an adult on this show and not having swam before. And
Yeah,
with well, we'll get to it in a second, but even and with flippers.
take a bunch of lessons before you go. Swimming's, like, so basic. It's like, yeah, you can't test for or train for everything,
You can train for
but
swimming.
you're gonna have to, like,
Swim, train to dive down to the bottom of
yeah,
the deep
and
end,
exactly.
like
You wanna go on this, and who knows, you might wanna go on other reality stuff later. It's all swimming mostly, like, it's all swimming. So just learn how to swim. Like, unless you're going on maybe, I don't know, Big Brother, it's not as a big deal, but it's, like, still a pool in that backyard. So, I mean, just learn how to swim. If you go on any reality show, I would say number 1, one of the number 1 things to do is learn how to swim
for sure.
on a basic level, and maybe he did, and maybe that's as good as he's gotten.
Okay, maybe. Maybe. Oh, so yeah, so Kathy doesn't remember what was said about the crutches either. Yeah, but she talked about them. It's so funny. How can you go in the Amazing Race and not learn how to swim? Exactly, Dolores. Exactly. I have a fear of the ocean, but I can swim. Exactly. Same with me, Danielle. Okay, so Kathy is saying Molly is a pharmacist, and she said that Emily was under a great medical care. It was on Louis and Michelle's latest. Okay, yes, I did listen to that, and then she did talk about the crutches, but I don't remember what was said. I think James said that on his season you couldn't do 2 in a row. Interesting, they changed it up. I never paid that close attention in the past to these things.
I
I
think
don't.
I think that was Once Upon a Time. Um, yeah, there was something about, like, it's
Oh, like no, I think it was if it was in like I say like a mega leg. I think that the same person couldn't do both. No.
I mean, it's changed. It's definitely changed where it's like, I don't know what it's changed from, to necessarily, but it has changed a little bit, but I don't think it's, they're just a little bit more lax on it, I feel anyway.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's before though, in the very beginning, where just one person would do all of them and the other person would just cheer them on from the sidelines. I do like that they make you have to even it out. I think that's better for the race. Okay, what happened next year? David can't swim. I mean, like, I felt really bad because that was a really fun activity that they got to do. Like they had to go into this cave, and it seemed like everybody very easily found the clue, and then they had to do I don't know, was it called splunking?
Well, I'm not sure, but it was fun to watch, but at the same time, it's like, for me, not a great challenge. It's kind of like a mega leg challenge where it's not really a challenge. Like, it's just like, go through it. And then
I like that
and
though.
like, you should come out, it's great visuals, but like, you should
In the same.
come out in the same order as you
Mhm.
went in, unless, there's a thing, but there was a thing. But even still, like, it's minutes. It's minutes, which doesn't really matter until, the end. But
Well, in David's panic, he misses the clues and he's on the other side of this cave in the water, unable to swim effectively. He sees Luis, who's in the cave, and Luis is like, "What's David doing there?" Like, sees the clue and is like, "Deuces!" Like, passes him and just continues on in this course. So, I mean, I know we expected everybody to come out in the same order, as so did probably Aubrey, but no, Luis was able to overtake him. So Derek is out of the cave first, and they are going to. I can't even read my writing. They're basically going to go to a national park in Thingvellir National Park. Molly also catches up to David. So David does end up seeing where Luis picked up the clue. He's able to get over there and continue on with the spunking, if that's what it's called. Then Molly enters and is able to actually catch up to him, basically. Like they were a minute apart now. So David, not being great at swimming and scared, did allow two teams one to overtake him and one to catch up, for sure. So, Aubrey, though, once they all get back in the car, Aubrey is super nervous that they're going to be going in the wrong way. So, what do you think that that was? Because I feel like what it said on the clue was how to get out of where they were. It said turn right at the gate or something like that and follow that road for 15 minutes. I feel like that that's what it said. And then she's just totally freaking out, thinking that they went in the wrong
It
direction.
just seemed like it was longer than, and I feel like they've all gone in the wrong direction at some point in this race already. So, yeah, when it's down to the final four and everything's so tight like this, you're like, wait a minute, we've been going 10 minutes in the wrong direction, 15. Shouldn't we have been there yet? Like, that's what it felt like to me. I don't know. Didn't pay attention to how long it said or how long it should have been or anything like that. I didn't catch any of that. But yeah, it just seemed like she was a momentary like panic. Like this is going to be our end if we're going in the wrong direction. Like even if it's just a 30-minute detour. So because everything's so tight, which is what I didn't love about this leg is that everything was so tight.
That's what
I
I don't love about the final leg as well, is that everything is so tight that, like, yes, it makes it compelling, I guess, if it's going to be a foot race literally to the finish line. But I kind of wish that it allowed people to spread out just a
Well,
little bit.
I mean, what they want in the final leg is everyone to get to that thing that you have to do, usually with like a memory based on the stops or your throughout the whole race or whatnot. And then you finish it and the mat's just like right over there or something. It's the next thing you have to do. Ideally, you want everyone kind of getting to that and like whoever finishes that first wins.
Okay, so Callie's saying here that David said on the recap podcast, it's not that he can't swim, he's just not good at it and it's not his thing.
He was terrified.
He was scared.
You can't swim.
He,
Yeah. You float, not swimming. You can't swim.
like, if it's not your thing, that I mean that if it's not your thing, that I don't think that that comes into play when you're on a race for $1 million, right? Like swimming's not my thing, but I'd be doing breaststroke, it's like my breathing properly, like I would be swimming. So I
You
don't
look
know.
look at the challenge where they all swim. You see the people who can't swim, and even though they've tried and said that they've taken classes, and then there's people who are not good at it, but they're like doing whatever their little frog, little butterfly stroke to get wherever they need to. And then there's people who are good at swimming. But did
David,
we watch
it's
David
not his thing. It's because
because
he's
he can't swim.
scared, and he's
Like I
scared.
don't care what he says, he can't swim. He was terrified. Yeah.
And it's not his thing because he can't swim and he's terrified. I believe it's not his thing, but I think it's because he's scared. Because if you know how to swim, then this task should not have tripped. Neither of those tasks should trip you
And
up.
and with the one that we haven't talked about yet as well, you can't remember something when you're panicking, which is why they were terrible at that challenge too.
Hmm. Agreed. Agreed. Um, there's always a panic swimmer like Enzo. Oh my, exactly. Like Enzo, I'm sure knows how to swim, and I'm sure it's not his thing. like, and he definitely panicked. Was that the moment where Aubrey catches up to Luis and Michelle, and then Luis and Michelle were? Was that that moment? We're like, I think we're going the wrong way, and so then Luis and Michelle turn around,
Oh,
and then
that
Aubrey follows them,
I don't know. That
and
kinda
then
confused me.
Derek and Claire pass them.
Yeah, Derek and Claire got there and they're like, "What the heck?" I don't know if it was shown in a way that I don't know, my brain just didn't process following exactly, but there was something going on that, I didn't fully comprehend what was happening.
Well, what I just said, I think happened, and I think it's there. I didn't take great notes today. So, what I think was interesting though, when Derek and Claire get there to the detour, um, they thought that Luis and Michelle and Aubrey and David had already done it, and that's why they were going in the other direction, which I thought was great because I didn't want them to follow them and then lose their lead. So they continued like going in the right direction and then getting there first, which was pretty
Yeah, they
cool.
said it should only take us 15 minutes because they thought they were leaving from it. So they're like,
Hmm. Exactly. So they are going to be diving between tectonic plates in a like a volcano that erupted years ago. I mean, I thought that this was really cool, but you weren't really that plussed about it.
What do you mean? I mean, like, sure. I mean, I just thought all the challenges together this episode weren't like wonderful for me to like view. I like something a little bit more
Dynamic.
dynamic, but I don't know what they were in Iceland. I've never been to Iceland, so I don't know what what's capable of being done there, but it was fine. It was fine.
So what they're going to have to do is, I don't remember how many, but they're going to have to snorkel and look down at the bottom of these lakes within these tectonic plates that had a year that it erupted. The volcano erupted. Is that what happened? Something like
Couldn't
that.
tell ya, don't
A
remember.
year in a mountain or a year in a
I wouldn't do
volcano.
good with the memory challenges, let me I'd be like,
So how would we do this one then if you are not great at memory?
I'm not great at remembering, I have terrible memory. I would, like, even associating it with which is Claire, which is I think people with great memories are able to associate it with things, and I think you need to, but I don't think that's the way like, it doesn't work for me. I'm not like, "Oh, that's like a hell is a cell, and that should be this and that." Like, I'm just like, "What?" But, I would just assess kind of who my partner is and if they're good at memory or not, and if you're not, then, like, I would be like, "You know what? I'm gonna get these all confused." So for me, if my partner was just as bad as I am, I would count on going twice, and I would just be like, "Let's get what we get right, and let's do, like, alternating, um, or the first, like, I don't know, half or whatever, and then go back for the rest. Or just like you can remember 7 numbers, right? Like that's why
Hmm.
telephone numbers are 7 numbers. So like let's do 7 each. And then if there's more, we'll go back for them and just like whip through it like that. So we don't like, we're not having to look kind of what's wrong and what's not. I don't know. I'm just not good with memory stuff. So
Yeah, I mean, I think that most of the teams they were going to alternate and remember like the evens or the odd years. So I think that that's probably going to be the best strategy. And I would say like if you can only remember say 7 and then just like okay, I'm not even going to try to remember the other ones. Let's just
yeah.
go get those in and get do that quickly. I think that you could be onto something just to like
But like Derek
not waste your
Claire,
time.
you know what I mean? Like you can be like, Claire's great at it. She's like, I'll remember hers. She puts hers in first.
Oh,
And then
there's only 14 volcanoes. Sorry, I just saw that I did write down a number.
and then
So it would have been 7 and 7. So we would have taken a stab at it first
yeah,
try.
and if you like Claire puts hers in first, and then it'd be like, "Great, then I can put mine in afterwards," or whatever, so I think I can remember 7. Yeah.
I could probably remember 7 and I probably would have seen yours because the type of memory that I have, I don't know if I was talking about this with you, is that I remember what things looked like. So, like, I can recall seeing it. For instance, when I was studying for stuff in school, I would remember where that sentence was on the page. And I'd have to, like, just like, okay, I'm going to recall that page and that sentence and like where it was. So that's how I recall. And so I think I'd probably be able to help you also being like, okay, I do remember seeing that one, the 2010, that was second. I believe, you know what I mean? I think I might be able to help verify, anyways. I hope. I hope. We'll see. We'll see. But Claire and Derek are so good at this. That's something that I think that we'd also need to practice. Like, just practice snorkeling. Like, I feel like we snorkel on almost every season of The Amazing Race, at least a little bit.
Yeah, snorkeling's hard too. Like, for someone who likes water as much as I do, I'm not a great snorkeler. I don't enjoy it. It's not my thing, is what I'll say, but I'm capable of doing it. It's I don't like the feeling of having to, like, breathe while you're underwater, trusting this tube which water can get into, that kinda thing, so
I mean, he might have said it's Callie, but like, I just don't believe that he wasn't petrified when he was like even Aubrey has said in some of their exit press that like we decided to take spoiler alert the penalty because this was really hard for him and I didn't want to put him through that anymore.
yeah. I mean, she said that in the episode, but also, like, Aubrey didn't get like, do you see how many they got wrong? You know what I mean? Like,
They got like
Aubrey couldn't remember it either, so
10.
let's not all put it on David, you know?
I mean, I think that Aubrey probably didn't get a lot of them correct also because she was worried about David. Like, we hear her turning back and seeing that he was seemingly panicking and kind of flailing. He wasn't using the flippers correctly. Flippers make it really easy to swim. Like, not gonna lie, it allows you to be like a fish, and you're able to really just swim quite
But, like,
glide.
that's the thing too, if you in your partnership, so if your person's like and they're gonna be terrible, you know what I would've been like? Remember the first 2. let's get through this. I will remember a chunk and then we'll just do it again and I'll do it all. You know what I mean? Like Aubrey could have really stepped up knowing how traumatic that would have been for David because they did go in through that twice. And she allowed the race to get and everything that was happening to get the better of her as well. So, I mean, it's on both of them, but like when your partner's weak in a moment, you need that other partner to be strong and carry them through that. And that didn't happen. So it resulted
Mhm.
in what you had just said.
Mm, mhm. But Claire puts like mnemonics with everything, and she was able to really know hers really well, and it allowed for Derek to be able to insert his in. And she was able to kind of double check to be like, to see what was correct, and they got it right on the first try, which I thought was quite impressive. Because also Luis and Michelle, they did it, and they were very strong as well, but they had one or two wrong that needed to be flipped. And so they did have to go back out and redo it. And so
But
while they were
they whipped through it that second time though. They just like
absolutely, they knew what was like the mistakes were. They're like, okay, no, got check, we got this, we got this, we got this. And by the time they came back, Claire and Derek had already got it correct. And we're going to the pit stop. Good on them, because they start off this leg in third place. So the fact that they were out of this detour first, I was
they're
giving them
gonna
some props.
they're gonna need to play into their strengths to win the race, I think. Or I personally think Louis and Michelle would be in my mind they're the front runners. But if Claire and Derek can like really play to their strengths and get it together like they did this leg, they can absolutely win as well.
Absolutely. So Derek and Aubrey were third here, and Molly and Emily, they do end up going in fourth. They looked really fierce though in their like their wetsuits. Like they looked determined, in my opinion. They're just like, okay, we're gonna get this, and they were pretty good at this as well. They I guess like being a pharmacist, they probably had to learn so many Latin words and terms and stuff like that for all the medication and all the schooling. So I'm sure that they had to figure out ways to memorize things. So I think Molly would probably be very strong in memorizing these volcano words.
Yeah, I thought they would be better, but I was fully aware of how emotional and like drained and in pain they are. So I think that we've seen that kind of take effect on their ability because I feel like they were a lot stronger like earlier on in the race. Different legs, I mean, not this leg, but yeah, they were good, and I was expecting them to be good, in this.
So Dolores says that Claire taught Derek to associate names with the first letter. That's how they did it. Claire went first, and then they went through his. I mean, absolutely. There is a trick to with mnemonics where you put things on like numbers. So like number one, like do things that sound alike, and then like you do like number 1 to 10 is different like I can't remember what they are right now, but 1, 2 is like shoe or something. 5 is like whatever. And so then you'd make like a little mini story about it with like and make it really like visual and like really wild and like, oh, one fun. And you're like, oh, okay, we're gonna see like an elephant having fun or whatever it is. And so if you kind of make a little mini story to these things, it actually helps you really remember it. So she probably
Yeah.
did something like that because we heard her talking
Was
about.
she talking about her dad doing that? Like, I've never successfully done that. I just my mind doesn't work like it should, I guess. But I mean, it helps a lot of people.
It does. When we see people doing like memorizing decks of cards, they're using that kind of technique for sure. So yeah, poor David though. More swimming for Derek. He's not never worn flippers before, and it showed that they did come into this race as they were alternates, and they kind of had 2 hours to kind of get actual prepared to go and leave for the race. I mean, I don't. They probably did do some like training, as in like practice stick shift and stuff like that, but I think that they needed a little bit more practice on the swimming part because man, it just was so frustrating to see that he just didn't even have a chance.
Even when you're losing, like I know she's like, I can't put him through that, but I'm like, you're just swimming. Like, couldn't he just like go along and you
You
just
do it?
just slowly, yeah, you do it. Say, you know what, just have a nice little cold as anything swim. But like, let's do that. Let's just finish it. you're taking 2 hours anyway, so could you not just go as slow as you want just to say that you did it?
Mhm.
I don't know that I understood that, you
It's
know?
not my I mean, I would never wanna push somebody that really was really scared, obviously, but I always would like people to overcome their fear, right? So, I
Yeah, I would just be
feel
like, "You don't have to do anything. Just make it like just waddle through the water and, as long as you're not." Well, we did kinda see, so I feel like someone had to rescue him at some point, so, I think, like, some water got into a snorkel or something like that.
that's yeah, unfortunate. Like, figuring out how to blow out and all that stuff is a little bit challenging, so that's why they should have practiced snorkeling. I would definitely take snorkeling lessons, and, like, now for sure I will, because like, I might have forgotten about snorkeling, but, like, that's something I think that you should have on your amazing race, like, practice checklists. So the twins do get their first check, and it is wrong. I think that they only had one wrong. So they go back out, and I mean, it still wasn't that compelling because you could see how many
Yeah,
Derek and Aubrey got wrong.
they knew which ones it was,
David
yeah.
and Aubrey. And so yeah, they knew exactly which one was wrong, and so they were able to zip through it and come basically past David and Aubrey. And so first place at the pit stop is Derek and Claire. They win an Expedia trip to London. Second place is Luis and Michelle. Which is, I mean, it's these are the two teams that we want to see there for sure. And coming in third, our girls, Molly and Emily. They luck was on their side to get
I
to
was gonna
this.
say if David and Aubrey were like the other two teams, or really any other team, like if it was the brothers, let's say
Mhm.
instead of David or Aubrey, I think the girls would or the sisters would be out of it. So Molly and Emily would have been like, "See you later." So yeah, a lot of luck with that.
Well, and Molly at one point though says, I would carry Emily on my back to the finish line. I'm wondering if they're setting this up because she'll do that. Do you think she's gonna carry her on her back to the finish line, running to the
I feel like
mat?
she had like a dream or like imagery of like having to do that or something.
I want that to happen. So, and I want it to happen with them in first place, but I don't know if that will be the thing. So, as we already mentioned, David and Aubrey do take a 2 hour penalty and they arrive at the mat in fourth place, which is last. That means that they are not going to be running the final leg this season. Sad, but I think these are deserving final three.
Yeah. I wondered why they didn't just drive out to them and be like, "Okay, it's over." The other thing though is, can we talk about the reactions to the previews for next episode?
We will. And so let's just respond to this question. Um I'm thinking yes, because I'm thinking like if I ever had like we have Aeroplan in Canada, if I ever were to pay for a trip or a flight in points, then you always have to pay like departure tax or like fuel tax or some sort of taxes. It's very minimal, but I do think there'll be some sort of taxes that you'd have to pay on the flight. What do you think?
Oof, I'm not one to have. You're getting.
No comment.
I have no idea. I have absolutely no idea.
I would say yes, though, Dolores. And I know that that's what a lot of teens were like frustrated by is that they had to take out like a loan to pay for the taxes of these extravagant trips that they won. So
Like in the US, you have to pay tax on everything, right?
that's
So
true.
everything you win. It's not like in Canada, you don't. So um, sucks to be. I mean, it's like yeah, it's like if you go on like um, Price is Right. Sometimes people have to decline their prizes because they can't afford the taxes on them.
Hmm. It's very true. All right. So what do you want to talk about with the preview?
Okay, so uh, we see what do we see in the preview? We see Louis and Michelle get to this like piano, like in Big, like Tom Hanks, like which seems to me like that is the challenge, which happens right before you.
Like going to the
Yeah. So I was thinking, I'm like, if they're there and they seem like eager and like they seem like they were playing a win still, not like someone just won. I don't know. I'm gonna bet on them. But then I saw what's their names? My team, Glenda and Lamamba. I saw their faces when
Yes.
one was crossing the finish line, and it looked like they were surprised a little bit. So
Okay, the reactions, my first instinct was Luis and Michelle
I
from
still
the
think it's them.
faces of people like I think it was Glendon Lumum that I saw. It was like I felt like the surprise was because it was Luis and Michelle.
Okay. I thought, like, I think it was just something that someone that they weren't expecting. So I don't know who they were expecting, but I'm just saying the fact that they didn't show more than one team doing that challenge, which I feel like is the challenge just before the leg. I do think that Louise and Michelle run away with it. I feel like they're in the lead and they win. Is my guess too,
I could
based on
s-
what I saw.
I agree with that. And then also Luis and Michelle are hosting the finale party. Most winners losers don't host the finale party, and now I do think that they were hosting many of them to so it wouldn't look out of order to be like, hey, we're hosting the finale party. But Erica from Survivor, I was like, why is she hosting this finale, these recap parties at Poppers down the street? I'm like I just didn't think that she was gonna win at all. I was like, she's gonna be out next episode. Like they're trying to throw things to make her, I was like, why is she hosting? I didn't get it. And then she ends up hosting the finale where she won. And same with Amazing Race Canada, the people that they asked me to come and host their finale viewing party, they won the show. And so it feels as though they might have been hosting
What if
because they win.
what if like in a future season they do something where at the last leg, like the last like 20 minutes of the leg,
Well, hold on, pause. Even a gift card, Dolores? What? If you get a gift card, the person that bought the gift card should pay the damn taxes on it. That's wild.
well, here they used to with gift cards um, deplete, and they put a law against that, so they can no longer. But they used to. So if you got a gift card from someone, a lot of them would do like, oh, 10 cents every month that you don't use it gets taken off the gift card. But that stopped like 10 years ago, maybe or something. So I believe it.
Sorry, that's just shocking to me. But go on, Jonathan.
What was I saying? My memory. See.
Talking about
What I want them to do. Yeah, so I feel like if they could do like a way where they don't know that they've won, like in the sense of like maybe the last task is separate. So if like multiple people get to the last task, they don't know if they've crossed the finish line first, and like maybe they don't tell, kind of like a drag race thing where like drag race pre-films, and then you like you don't they don't decide who wins until afterwards, like they film everyone winning. Not that, but I just mean like if there was some way where you can like keep it separate or keep it a little hidden, or they have to, I mean, it wouldn't be fair if they went to different locations, but just I don't know, something if they got to it at the same time, if they're able to like hide it from the winners somehow. I don't know, kind of cool.
well, so Kathy's say reminding us that Lulu and Lala hosted it last year. Yes, but last year I knew it was Kim and Pen, because of I just felt that with the way that they were hosting their YouTube recap, I was like, they're doing it from a winner's perspective.
Yeah,
It felt like.
you said that from like the get. Yeah.
Right. And so, and I also think that that's what makes me think that maybe Derek and Claire are the winners. And this is a bit of a red herring that they're having all this Luis kind of activity, Luis and Michelle, because Derek and and Claire have not really been on anybody else's podcasts. They have their own, but they're not talking on a lot of other people's, which I think is also interesting because I wouldn't be surprised if production was like, hey, I don't want you to give anything away. So like you're not allowed to talk in other pods or whatnot. So like they're the only team that has not been on the other podcasts that I've seen anyways. So that's my reasoning as to why I think it could be Derek and Claire that wins, that they're just trying to like distract us with Luis and Michelle, making it seem like they're the obvious winners. So
Yeah, I mean,
I can make a case for both of them.
everyone likes Derek and Claire, so again, that could play into that reaction from Mamba and Glenda, where they would, because they really like them, so they were. But I think the last three teams are very likable anyway. But it's yeah, obviously they're not trying to give anything away. This is just us speculating, reading into like 2-second clips. But I mean,
Yeah.
I love to speculate. So
Well, and also, okay, we could also throw in Emily and Molly being there, like that could be a
yeah,
reaction of Glenda's being like, like with Molly carrying Emily on her back, and they're getting to the finish line first.
Noah was jumping up in the air, like he was like thrilled. So I was like, who would he be thrilled about? Like, I'm so interested in just
Thrilled would be either Derek or Luis. I would feel like like having some sort of romance with those two guys. Um, all right. Well, do you have anything else to say speculation wise for next week? I could really see any of the three teams winning right now from the evidence that we're seeing. It looks like it's going to be Luis Michelle first, Derek and Claire second, and Emily and Molly third. That's what it seems like. But I wouldn't be surprised if Derek and Claire were first and Luis and Michelle were second. At this point, I do not see Emily and Molly being able to outrun them because they're just not going to have time to catch up. I don't think so.
I would be beyond shocked if they won. And I don't feel it in my bones,
Yeah, I don't
unfortunately.
feel it either.
So yeah, I think it's one of the other two for sure, and I could see either of them winning.
Me
But
too.
if I had to wager,
You'd wager on Luis and Michelle.
yeah, yeah.
I hear you. I hear you. Well, thank you everybody in the chat for hanging out with us this season. We have one more recap to go. Well, we finally will know the outcome of this season. Kathy says Luis and Michelle come on to other recaps all the time. Exactly. That's what I'm
Well, I want to know
saying.
what everyone else thinks, who they think the winning team is out of those three.
Absolutely. Let's hear your orders. So rank. Leave in the comments which order you think that most likely from the edit and from your gut and from your desire, like who's your first, second, and third place teams. Actually, we'll do like what you think is going to happen and then what you want to happen because like both of us want the twins to win. But I don't feel like it's in their cards this season. I don't think so. But they got to run the whole race together. I'll be happy no matter which of the three win. Oh, I'll be happy no matter which of the three. Absolutely. I will be. But who would you prefer? Just kidding. Slash, I'm not kidding. All right, Jonathan, what do you have going on that you can share with the people before we say good evening?
Well, we've been talking about a lot about my mole game that we're doing the org, and that the applications have closed, so you had your chance, everyone. Um, and yeah, and if you've applied and are watching this, well, we'll be letting you know this weekend
Ooh.
if you're in the game or not. So that's pretty much what I'm focusing on right now. A lot of work,
Awesome.
a lot of work.
Well, now, I don't remember if you've already said this online or not, but will you be able to other people be able to view it? Like, will we have to join a group? How can we keep up to date with what's
Yeah,
going
there's a
on with the
Facebook
mole?
group, the BL, which we can send you links to and whatnot, that you can join. It's a private group, so you can watch what's happening when that does happen in January. And yeah, may or may not appear on YouTube. It may be made into episodes. We'll see. We'll see. It's a lot of work. So, I mean, I have a lot more respect for people who make these things happen because but we are a small team who are doing it, so usually some of these people have much larger groups arranging and planning everything, so, and that's what I'm doing tonight. Actually, we're finalizing some things that need to be done in regards to that. So
Awesome. Well, I can't wait. So hopefully we'll all be able to watch and if it works out, maybe do some recaps. We'll see how we'll see if it will be able to happen, which could be kind of fun. So thanks again, everybody, for hanging out with us today. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the channel, like this video, and let us know who your heart wants to win, and then who you think is going to win. And we get it, all the teams, they're all fabulous, they're all likable. We will be happy with any of them winning. But if you had to choose, we want to hear your thoughts here. All right. Well, thanks so much. Oh, what's Laura saying? I would be happy for anyone of them. Although my personal favorite are Claire and Derek X. But I live in Miami and until only last year, so I do not have a soft spot for Louise and Michelle. They've grown on me big time. I think it's because obviously they've had more visibility and we got to know their personalities a little bit more. So I've really been liking them a lot. But the top three teams are very likable. And I understand, Dolores, you're a fan of Big Brother. So of course you want the Big Brother team to do well. Anyways, till next week. Ciao.